morning everybody and welcome in to another video. This one being more special than usual though, as we've just recently celebrated 5 years of designing LEGO Zelda custom sets here on this channel and just in my life in general. And although that channel anniversary and the videos on some of those last sets won't be available until later this year, in the time span of these 5 years we've done 100 models. So we really do have a lot to celebrate. So today we are not just going to dive into that journey that we have taken over the last few years, but also take a look at your guys' builds as I open the floor once again and gave anyone the opportunity to send me a mock, animation, drawing, or honestly anything Zelda, that's LEGO Zelda, related to be featured today as a celebration of the talent of the amazing Zelda fans, and to make this 5-year milestone feel more like a party, because I can't be doing that on my own, and I have not been doing that on my own. You guys are out there doing some amazing work. But before we take a look at those, I want to take you back to 2011 for a little abridged and honestly quite quick version of how we got to this point. Now, I've been playing Zelda my whole life and I've been building LEGO even longer, but it's the game that sticks out to me the most in this scenario is Skyward Sword, hence why we're going back to 2011. It holds a special place in my heart for its characters, story, world and music, along with the sense of destiny it empowered into its adventure, which still to this day I think makes it feel unique amongst such grand adventure games. But it also marks the age range when I started to head online, looking for information about the game and how to get better at it, and also to see, of course, if there was any LEGO Zelda, combining this new interest and, of course, with my interest in LEGO the hobby. Now, I knew there was nothing official because by this point I could already reel off every theme that LEGO was actively producing at any one given year, but LEGO Ideas was starting to ramp up, and in the years following I started to see some really inspiring Zelda projects. I was desperate to see these be made or reach 10k, and a couple of them did. Wes Talbot, the future designer of the Deco Tree, had his amazing Iron Knuckle encounter, which by the way we remade here on the channel in real life. You can check that one out too, that's cool. And we also had Flalix's 10k Wind Waker submission as well, but also there were projects that didn't make 10k, and this is honestly one of the first cornerstones in the journey that led me here. The Skyward Sword projects, more specifically this Farron Great Tree and the Lanayru mining facility, caught my attention as really enigmatic play models, crossing my favorite game with the LEGO style that is only encompassing by adventure and play, and they really did mix and feel like proper sets. Now obviously they were a little bit janky at the time, right? It was LDD days back before Studio, so I'm planning to restore this build later this year, but for now it is lost, but not its impact. These models left a really sizable image in my head, and they sort of remain burnt into my skull of this idea of having not just something for a shelf, but something that can be played with. And obviously models like Wes Talbot and so on did this with Iron Knuckle Encounter, but for me it was this one because this was my game, right? This was something I was experiencing at that time, and something I was desperate to see, despite these of course being less realistic picks, especially for ideas. It's also why when we got through to Wave 4 and I started doing stuff like Koloktos and even the Spirit Temple to a lesser extent and the Ancient Machines battle packs, and getting to revisit these moments that I've only ever seen once before in LEGO, and that was on these early ideas submissions, was really impactful to me and really made and really left a mark, I think. But sidetrack completely, this was sort of the first cornerstone that I think led me on this journey to do custom sets. Next up, of course, it was the Ham Was Yellow First stable, flinging me right back into the LEGO Zelda dream. I started to theorize that they couldn't reject it forever, and that we'd already had like 4 or 5 LEGO Zelda Ideas projects and none of them being accepted. But the time was 2018 and LEGO was only just dipping their toes into gaming. There was no real evidence to suggest they'd even go there eventually, and Nintendo hadn't been in an amazing place with the Wii U, so there was no real hope, right? The cards were stacked against me. It would be amazing, and I knew other people wanted it too, but there was no evidence at all. So while it made all the sense in the world to me, there was just no hope. Fast forward to 2019 and the LEGO YouTube space was a time that was full of custom minifigure series and custom sets as well. Builder after builder claiming to produce sets so good that LEGO should just make them and hire them on the spot. But this was not really true, because when you look closer, most of these custom sets used existing parts of builds to just quickly reproduce something in a different color scheme, or even parts, individual parts that were like retired for decades or in the wrong colors, and just stuff that would never ever happen. And that's when I began to develop a sort of resentment for this style and wanting to develop something more grounded in knowledge and research and stuff that I had learnt about a company and from watching speed builds and seeing how this all happened, and a desire to do it the right way. However, I didn't put two and two together. I really wanted LEGO Zelda at this point because we'd had the Brick Gallery Castle submission and so on, and I'd started to realise that it was playsets that I wanted as I sort of become self-aware of this. And it wouldn't be too long before in early 2020 LEGO Mario was teased, and that idea that had been in my brain, inspired by decades of playsets and experiences with the brand and grand adventures like Lord of the Rings, my time with Skyward Sword, the ideas submissions I looked up to, and even stuff like Hammer's Yellow First Stable, and it finally snapped and it desired to be fleshed out. So I decided I was going to design a wave of LEGO Zelda sets, something that could be possible, and this became a 3-wave plan. And before long, it was a 9-wave plan, locked in and confirmed before that first year was over. And it was rough at first. The CSS was originally all hand-drawn, and then soon I transferred over to Studio, which proved to be the way to go. I learned to draw minifigures for the first time with no art experience at all. They were questionable, and then they got better. Hand-drawn to digital, bug eyes to following normal traditional minifigure conventions, and then finding my own style. And the same was true with the builds. The dungeon system at the heart of it all, the gimmick that defined, to me, why LEGO and Zelda were meant to be, the idea that you sell this crossover on, and then a castle system and waves of ideas and collectibles. And before you know it, here we are, 5 years later, maybe about halfway through my grand plan, and I can honestly still say that, well, I'm not the best builder, I'm not the best artist. I've said it hundreds of times over the last 5 years, but I am proud of what I have achieved for myself. And I still believe in every idea, at least to an extent. And that's all I set out to do. Prove the concept, prove the potential that this crossover has. And I guess provide myself what I've wanted for nigh on 15 years. And that's what we did. We've done nearly 100 models. But it's been more than that because it's provided me with some amazing opportunities. So let's just quickly go through the highlights. I actually produce these sheets every year, and I've shown them off, I think, at conventions and maybe a couple of other places. But let's just really quickly run through all those amazing experiences that I've had, even in this niche of tiny, tiny niches. So in the first year, the project's foundation was laid, common CSS tropes were established like figures and box art and so on, and I built wave 1 and 2. The channel then started in October of 2020, about, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months after the project itself started, and before we knew it, it became central to my daily life. Moving into the second year though, into 2021, it was a year of huge progress. I added the backstage breakdowns, my figure drawing improved as I moved onto a proper digital software instead of drawing with my thumb. I built wave 3 and wave digi, over 25 models in just those 12 months in year 2, reaching wave 4, well, skipping some sets, but wave 4 before we even began our third year, which unfortunately was where lots of the momentum was lost. This was a rough year for the project. I think a hard year just in general. I didn't love it. I launched the Castle series on YouTube to make up for this, although I'd been working on it for privately, in private for years at this point. But we launched that to fill the gaps as the project stretched on, and less than 10 custom sets were produced in that year's period. I hope the project would have picked up regardless of what actually ended up happening, but there is a chance that that could have been it. After 3 waves, it petered out and I moved on. But everything changed at the end of that third year. And as we run these March to March, in February of 2023, the survey leak happened. LEGO Zelda was real, and although it still wouldn't be here for another 18 months, my 4th year of this project was filled with renewed excitement, and then Tears of the Kingdom. 18 Tears of the Kingdom designs, even more of Wave 4 as well, and I was back. It was an incredible year full of really, really exciting things. But the best was still to come. A Deku Tree was coming. I got a Link cardboard cutout. I was prepared to be ambitious for that last year 5. Last year. And it was the craziest 12 months of this entire project, which obviously is nothing in the grand scheme of things. But in this journey, it was insane. I finished Wave 4 at last. It took way too long. We made a spoof trailer for April 1st, which was about the last time we could ever do that, and I was proud of how that turned out as well. We passed 2,000 subs. The Tears of the Kingdom builds were so well received, and one of them's hit 90,000 views. 2,000 subscribers is a lot. I'm happy with that. We started going to conventions and showing the LEGO Zelda playfield features in real life, me sharing this story like a magic stage on a front, and so many people recognizing things was really wonderful. We ballooned the collection of builds not only in person at these conventions, but also 100 digital models we hit in year 5. We got lots of instructions out to Rebrickable, an issue that we've been behind for a while, but something that's been really, really important. And then of course the Deco Tree, it was revealed. I got a factory leak version of Young Link early. We celebrated that event of this true passion and desire with over 100 community builds in mid-2024 submitted by you all out there. Myself and Highland Bricks got to interview Joseph Zawada, the designer of that amazing Hyrule Castle mock from Brookvale Junior back in 2015, which was a very cathartic moment as well. I received critique on the CSS builds by an ex-LEGO designer, which I haven't actually talked about, but that was very cool. We need to do a video on that at some point. The Deco Tree release was also crazy. The live stream we did, the modifications we made to the set, the alternate build with the Wind Waker tree that was incredibly successful, and then of course the 2-hour review video that we made. It was Echoes of Wisdom with more sets, a Temple of Time, Clock Town, huge castle progress as well, a brick set article I got to write for brick set. That was cool. Here we are, entering year 6, and the future is open to new possibilities. That's enough on this anniversary though. If you want to see the sets, I've linked the video where I go through all of them really briefly below, and of course there are playsets on playlists even. There are plenty of playsets in those playlists, but there are playlists on the channel for every one of the waves, and every set has its own video and story that I encourage you guys to check out. Maybe leave those old ones alone, but wave 4, wave 8, wave 3, probably all very watchable. But now it's time to look at your designs. I've had my little look back, my little reminder of all the incredible things we've done. And I hope that's inspired you or reminded you of some of the older content, because I love the space. I love LEGO Zelda. It's still as close to me as it was those years ago. And even now we have one set, I'm not done. I want more. And I want to keep designing and pushing and sharing this with people. And I want to get to a point where this project is everything I envisioned completely independently, and then that journey will be complete and we'll move on to other things. But for now, I just want to enjoy the 5 years of work, and I think I'm my own harshest critic a lot of the time, but say what you will, I think I can be proud in what I've done. But let's look at your designs now. We have a smaller batch this time around than we did last year, but it's still lovely to see, and we did have quite a few. It's always great to see you guys' passion and talent as well. It puts me to shame, honestly, and I'm so grateful that you guys all sent these over for me to see and showcase. And to be honest, it's the least I can do to put you guys on a pedestal for a little bit as well. So we're going to start with Beachy Bricks here, who has submitted a couple of different builds. We have a little Guardian Scout from Breath of the Wild, which is built lovelily here, like in a nice minifigure scale size. I really enjoy how this turned out. You've got all those ancient details represented here in a couple of different colors as well. And I actually really like how the, I believe it's a life preserver ring, or it might be the Sonic ring, is put underneath the head. I think that's a really interesting method of attaching that there, just to create a little bit more depth. And I really like the rounding on that. I've got the classic weapon attachments that I feel like get used quite a lot, but they get used because they work, and it looks simply wonderful. Perhaps more excitingly though as well, we have a construct here, not something that many people have attempted, and you can see here it is replicated using similar techniques to some of the stuff we've done, right? But in your own style. We've got the poser pieces here in light bluish grey, and the Lord of the Rings rings going down the arms, which create a lovely textured effect. It's completely recognizable, despite obviously it's not having the perfect colors, just in general for these guys to do. And then with the knife stuck in the head for the horn is really well scaled, probably about the closest you could get with existing parts. But yeah, I think this is instantly recognizable, and I love that he's got the transparent base at the bottom for it to stand up, and then the little blade, which has been ingeniously represented here with this blue flame for the energy crystal around it, which is not a part Uso would have considered, but it works great. We have a steward construct as well, which is just a much harder shape to capture, but we've got the egg cones at the top, and again the same sort of neck design with the rings, the two little claws out front, and then the tassels for the earrings. It's just perfect part usage, even though they'd be like considered oversized. It's just perfect. A little purist Octorok as well here, pictured with Young Link, which is always nice to see. We've got the cufflinks here used as tentacles, which is interesting. And then of course that recognizable snout, and then binoculars on the top, which is fantastic. A lovely little creative build. And then my personal favorite is Ganon here from Ocarina of Time. Firstly, of course, the hair using that cape piece at the back is truly fantastic. But even little things like that roller skate for around the gem, you've got the swords, and then the abs built on this angle using this plate here is lovely. And there's studs going in all directions. I love that it is basically scaled with a figure. I mean, obviously, I'd be very curious to see what LEGO could come up with, but this is fantastic. The golden swords for the tusks, I think it's a very hard one to capture because Beast Ganon from that game is really weird to look at and sort of hard to focus on. So I think they did an incredible job in sculpting this and just getting so much in there. It looks pretty stable as well though, so you could have a little bit of fun here. And of course, yeah, it's pictured here with Adult Link as well. And then the last one submitted by Beachy Bricks was King Harkonnen. I'm almost certainly saying that wrong, but that is besides the point. And he's here with his cut, recreating his meme expression. It's great to have a figure like this, especially as it's one we'd probably never get. Although I hope one day we'll have parts where we could make it like a good purist version, but this is pretty close, to be honest. So I like that we've got some representation from across the series. Another Zelda fan that's got a lot of variety in their builds. Next up we have Josh here, who submitted his Ocarina of Time side build along with one other build for the Deku Tree. So this is something I've been really eager to see from people, is how they're displaying the side bits from the tree that they're not building. And here we have the Ocarina builds, and this is something I've been talking about, or maybe I haven't mentioned it, but something I've been thinking about is what to do with Adult Link and the Deku Babbas and stuff when we're in Breath of the Wild mode, because obviously Link has his tree house and all these accessories, and there's a place for Navi, but there's not really a place for the Skulltula and so on. So I really like what Josh has done here to build everything together. Of course, we've just got some various shades of dark tan and green building up the base, and of course you've got the torch at the front too. The Babbas have had their little expanded plant slots, and then there's a nice chunky tree that still retains some of that Deku Tree stylings at the back, but is much bulkier to allow for the Skulltula to be placed on the side. But as I said, this isn't the only build. Oh, and before I move on, I've got to mention the Spider-Man web pieces as well, being used to highlight the web that he's on. That's fantastic. But the second build he submitted is also really, really creative and something different that I don't think I've seen much of before, and that is a recreation of the runes from Breath of the Wild. So we have bombs, magnesis, stasis, cryonis, and the camera here recreated in brick-built form, and this is just so wonderful. This is such a lovely little thing to see. It's something a little bit different, but they are totally displayable and totally recognizable in a lineup here. Obviously the magnet looks great. I particularly love the stasis padlock as well. That looks great with those little curved bits on the top, and then a recreation of the keyhole. Even the camera, right? Like, I don't feel anyone would have complained if the camera was missing here, but it looks fantastic. Snowflake just makes sense for cryonis, and then the bombs here are nice and well shaped too, using a variety of curved pieces, even with the handles built in. Just something really, really different, but something so quintessentially Breath of the Wild that I'm just so glad to see, really. I love how many random stuff, like that, just, it's great, the variety that we see in these builds. Next up from Calvi, we have a build of the Great Sky Island, and this is incredible. This was a true delight to see. What a beautiful recreation of this location. Now, obviously, the GSI ended up being just a hugely influential location that we've seen, I feel, in a fair few mocks at this point, but I haven't seen anything done like this. Obviously, it is built up off the ground, designed to be a display piece rather than anything for play, which is actually perfectly fine. And one of my favorite things that he's done here is taken elements from the Deku Tree set and brought them into the Kingdom styling. So that tree design at the back is very clearly inspired by the Deku Tree one, just with a different leaf layout and obviously a different color, but it makes it feel cohesive to the world that LEGO is building. It makes it feel connected, which I love a lot. The same is true with the small tree, and then the recreation of the other mushrooms as well, like sky shrooms. And actually, if we jump ahead, he's also made this picture of the modifications he's done to his Deku Tree, which includes the addition of all of the mushrooms and extra Koroks. And we did some extra Koroks myself as well, but you've got a much more variety of color here. But what really stands out to me is the mushrooms. You've got the Breath of the Wild Bombflower, of course, more hearty radishes, lots of extra fairies, which I'm impressed at his courage in buying those parts off Prickling, because I've not been brave enough to buy the fairy tiles. I brought some Koroks, but I could not jump on the others. But literally every variety of mushroom is here, which is great. Yeah, it's fantastic. And of course, while we're here on this one, he's also got an Ocarina of Time expansion build, just like we were talking about with Josh. Here's his connected treehouse, which I quite like. We've got some more foliage around the front, to the Babbas, and then the stone song as well. And then just adult Link in there with the hookshot and Navi, which is great. This is the kind of thing I was hoping to see. So that's two different styles to give me inspiration for what I'm going to eventually come up with for mine. Because eventually I'll settle on the Breath of the Wild tree, even though I'm still turning it backwards and forwards. But back to the main star of the show, this incredible Great Sky Island. It is supported off these transparent pillars, and the rock work here looks so fantastic. It's the kind of thing that makes me wish I could do normal mock designs instead of focusing in on the idea of playsets, because this is something I could just never get away with in designing something that was designed to be a set, because it just looks so incredible the way it curves down. It truly looks like a flying island. And of course the Tears of the Kingdom colors really like make this stand out, specifically that bright orange. And then it's on an angle as well, using the ball joint technique. And we did a little bit of this in Z074 GSI, but it just looks so much better here because it's such a natural angle. This is a top class mock, and I said this in the email I sent back to him, but this should be unreplicable because this is incredible. I'm a really big fan of this one. I wish I could do stuff like this, but I am simply not talented enough. It looks incredible. You should be incredibly proud, and I love the integration with the official sets. It's something we don't see enough of just in general outside of LEGO Zelda, so I think this build is absolutely stunning. But let's keep things moving though, because I have a couple more, well, plenty more to take a look at. And the next one we have, this one has been submitted by Red Suit Studs, who is a fellow YouTuber who has recently obviously made like every weapon and an item from Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time when the Decade came out, and has been recently going through all the Smash fighters as well, but you guys probably know who he is. He sent us in this miniature Majora's Mask design here, which has some incredible part usage of all those unicorn colors. I think it's shocking that those parts have now come in so many colors, because I can remember when they were introduced back with like Unikitty in 2014 and thinking, oh well, these are never going to be in every color of the rainbow, and here they are in blue, sand green, orange and yellow, and looks great. It's a really small scale, which I love, and I even like the fact that the transparent piece holding it up, which may be coincidental, is in like a purpley color, which to me is the color of the Majora's Mask game, and that sort of, I don't know, organic-y purpley ooze, or just the magic. I love the open studs being used to represent the texture on the bottom, and then of course using the rubber bands for white detail, which is just absolutely necessary at this scale, and then really nails it with the eyes. This is perfect as a tiny little display piece, and we've seen so many Majora's Mask at different scales that I'm glad to say that this one brings something new to the table, which is really fantastic. And it does have a tutorial as well, which will be linked in the description so that you guys can find it if you are indeed interested in building your own. Next up, we have a small mock from Harry, and this one is called The Last Shrine on the Plateau. We have Link here facing off against a bokoblin, and what I really like about this one is the fact that we are set in a different environment. It's not very often that we see snow mocks from LEGO Zelda in any capacity. I mean, maybe in Twilight Princess or a little bit of Nehru, but especially not the snow on the Great Plateau. And you can see here that there we've got a shrine entrance behind, and it looks like Link is juking it out with this bokoblin in order to be let in. And we've got little snow details on the side. We've got a brick bokoblin head, and then Link is holding, I believe it's a spear. I can't quite tell from this angle. But yeah, this beautiful great entrance in the back, and it's just great to see a different biome in LEGO Zelda form, and just to see more creativity as always. So really good job from Harry. Moving on to our next one, we have Karalora's submission here, which is based off sort of Ocarina of Time. I'm going for the Hero of Time is how it's labelled. We've got a small little blaze plate where the hero is taking a rest in a field. Opponent gets to graze on some grass, and we've got some beautiful landscaping in the background. But there's a secret, because up in that tree we've got a heart container that maybe he hasn't spotted, or maybe he just hasn't figured out how to climb, because obviously this is Ocarina, he can't climb yet. And he's just taking a nap under the tree, or just sitting and playing the ocarina, and it's just lovely. We've got great vibes here. It's so calm and peaceful, and of course that little reference up with the heart piece in the tree, which takes me straight back to Majora's Mask's Milk Road heart piece as well. So maybe there's like some climbable vines around the back that we can't see. But to be honest, he looks peaceful and content to just sit under there, which to be honest is how all of us felt after the Decade, right? Because after so many years, it's finally here. Quickly going into a little art section, we have a submission here from Arturo, who has drawn his favorite Breath of the Wild armor set, which is the climbing set, and he's drawn me as a figure here. And I love how the details have come together for this one, because it does just look like appropriately detailed for a figure. We've got olive green hands, some printing on the arms that again look like the right level of detail that we would expect to see on an official rendition of this. Potentially dual molded legs with all the harnesses and straps, and then a fairly stern face print, as is befitting of this character, of course, and then a lovely custom molded headpiece with the ears and the hair and the bandana, something I wish I could have done with our climbers set, but obviously no mold budget because limitation. So I really love seeing this. It's like a CMF level quality figure that I hope we get to see one day, because it looks fantastic just color block wise, and it would be great to see, and I'm sure Arturo would love to have as well. So a really lovely little drawing here to have submitted. I'm also going to quickly highlight 3 drawings that I had done by various different people, and I'll name them all as we go, for a little side project we were doing where we were getting people in the community to draw or redraw versions of the first CMF series that we did, which was one of the earliest things we did here on the channel. So I had 3 out of the 12 or 16 figures sent to me. First up, we have from William Shakespeare 9424, we had Durinia from series 1, who was recreated here in his style. This lovely hand-drawn pencil with all these different angles and so on, exploring the figure in great detail. This is a beautiful piece of art. So although that project hasn't yet reached its conclusion, because if you guys want to draw some of the rest, do let me know which one you're drawing and then send them over to octaneThermoplastic@gmail.com, because eventually we will have them all done. But William Shakespeare was the first, and I couldn't help but not showcase it again. And Daruni is looking great here with a molded head and all the markings on the arms as well. But I love the fact that, and what's so special about this little Pacific project is that I asked that it was all drawn in your own unique style. So we'll have 12 to 16 unique figures drawn in their own unique ways by the end of it. But this one looked fantastic and was a great recreation. Then JP Arts submitted the Phantom, redoing the fan-voted most popular figure from that first series, probably just because it was the best drawn one. And he's done this with a little background here with the lightning in the background. And this just looks incredible. I love how he's rendered it in this almost, I want to say, cel-shaded kind of style. He's a very talented artist, and it looks absolutely great here. So another fantastic figure to see, recreating the Phantom, as I said, from series 1. And then Hylian Bricks also drew one for me. This was Demise from series 1, and he is once again recreated it here in his own style, changing up a couple of different design elements but keeping it true to the original, removing the custom molded headpiece and making a little bit more animated as well. And we've actually got a cloth element, or maybe that's printed on, I can't quite tell. And then of course all the scales, which is notoriously hard to draw, and a considerably better anti-master sword compared to the one that I came up with, because I was trying to like simplify it down and use existing molds. Anyway, chaos. I really love how this turned out, and they're all completely different and stylized. So these are the 3 we've had so far. Again, if you're interested in drawing one of these to celebrate the 5 years, do get in touch and send me across which one you want to do, because we have 9 or potentially 12 more that you can choose between, and it's up to you guys. But back to builds and animations. Johanns has submitted the next stage of his custom sets. I think in the previous video we got to see a couple of these, specifically the Bokoblin encampment here, and then of course the expanded and finished version of the Shrine of Resurrection, and then a new 2 sets as well. So quickly walking through these, you can see that we've got all these accessories down by the Bokoblin camp, using these crate designs and all kinds of resources to make this set as fun-packed and full of accurate details as possible. You've got the fallen log and the camp tower and the meat roasting on the spit, and some great purist Bokoblins. And what Johann does really well as well is adding all these custom molds and stuff as well, which just make them come to life. And I'm really pleased to see other interpretations of these Breath of the Wild locations. The shrine has removable water so that you can place Link in the bed, or the Korok can go in there as well, and you can go straight through past the chests and out to the outside where you've got these pine trees, which I'm loving that design because it is working great in official LEGO sets as well. And you even got the old man cave here as well, because he comes in this set. A big nice chest to open, which is slightly more game accurate than the ones we've done, and then rupees and flowers and all kinds of resources. And it's such an iconic location, and I think it's really important that this is represented. And it's done here, of course, with all the markings and so on as well, some stickers as well. But let's go on to the 2 new ones, because those are the 2 finished ones. We have a small set with all of the equipment to explore a shrine, for lack of a better word. So you've got cryonis blocks and magnesis effects and chains to wrap objects in stasis and bombs as a small little set so that Link can interact with his environment. And the idea being that you can combine this, I believe, with the flagship of Wave 1, which is the shrine here, which is rearrangeable and has all these puzzle elements. Like you can raise up the entrance and of course remove it so that you can go down on the elevator. You've got the monk, which can be opened up to be revealed properly as well, and this beautiful wall that you can stick all these different puzzle components on are not too dissimilar, I guess, from what we did with our shrine in Wave 3. However, this one looks considerably prettier, and we have all these leaves covering up the door as well. So many accessories, and once again more of Johanns custom molds as well. These look absolutely fantastic. And I'm really pleased to see how well they're turning out and how much he's enjoying the project as well, because one day we will see even more from him, I imagine, and they look so great. So good to see more interpretations from Breath of the Wild. Let's go on though, and next up we have some animations. These are our last three actually. From Croshau, we have this little animation from recreating a Smash fight, using of course the official Link figures, which always makes me chuckle. What I love about this one is the dynamism of it. You never know who's winning up until the very end, and I also particularly love the air blast coming out of the gust bellows using those transparent parts. That's really clever part usage that I would never have considered, but works so well for a couple of frames in animation. I'm going to show my lack of knowledge, but I believe he's fighting Sephiroth, maybe, but that might just be me. I don't know the roster well enough, so it's cool to see people get to use the official figures to create their own scenarios, and Croshau's a wonderful animator, so this was great to see as well. Plo Films submitted the pulling the master sword animation, which is something that, obviously because it uses the official set, wasn't able to make the cut last time, but he did send to me in between, which was really great to see. This is a fantastic animation that just feels so cathartic to see now that we have this official set, and it spins around just like the game, and it pulls out to the sky, and it's very smooth and wonderful. So I'm really glad that we got a chance to showcase this after a while. Because as I said, I've already seen this from back when the set was released, and I think it's nice and powerful and really sums up what that set has done for the community. And then lastly, we have a film submitted by EP Films, which features Link attempting to use the hookshot for the first time, and it goes a little bit wrong, and then of course he goes flying off the screen. I love the sound effects here, of course, again the use of the official figures. Not to say that you can't do stuff like this without the official figures, but the official figures do add an extra layer, and then the integration of like the extended version of the hookshot as well. It's great. It really adds an extra layer of dynamism to it as well, and especially changing to the angry face print when it goes wrong, and a little of indignation as well. It's very nice to see, so I'm pleased I could feature this one as well. And that is all the builds that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for your submissions as always. Hopefully we treated them all equally and with respect. I think everyone is so talented. I know some of you beat yourself down a little bit, but trust me, no matter what you're creating on what scale, it is amazing to see. And I'm really glad that LEGO Zelda and potentially other things have inspired you guys to do this, and I can't wait to see what you keep on creating. As I replied to each and every one of you, I said to everyone, keep on building, and that's exactly what I want to see. It is never too much trouble to share your mocks and builds, and while I can't promise that they'll always be featured in a video, I'm always eager to see what you guys come up with, because so many people have so many different interpretations and things that are special in the Zelda series, and while I've focused on obviously what's special to me and also what I think is special as a whole and would sell well, everyone has that one unique moment that defined the series for them, and I guarantee you it's something that no one else will have thought of. So do it. There's so many styles to build in, digital, real, there's so many drawings, and as I said, we've got the drawing thing going right now. We've got more celebrations coming up later this year. Of course, we're going to pass 100 sets in around August time, meaning we will be doing a big ranking. And yeah, there's so much more still to come. So thank you guys for being here and supporting the channel and looking at the builds and giving your critique. It's always welcome. I know it's frustrating when the builds aren't how you'd expect them to go, but I've never claimed to be trying to do fan service. I guess I'm just trying to do what I expect to see or what I think is more realistic. But thank you for being here. It's been an incredible 5 years. Yeah. And thank you all for submitting your builds, and I will see you again very, very soon. There are no real words, really. It's speechless. LEGO Zelda's here. We're still here, and we'll have another set next year, aren't we? So we'll do this again sometime. But thank you all so much for 5 years, for this year, however long you've been here. And I hope you look forward to the next 100 sets. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.